Thank you for joining this Wisdom Field broadcast from Valdemas College. Valdemas is an organization committed to sound character development, academic excellence, and transformational education for all our students. We're guided by discipline, excellence, and wisdom. We hope that this to your heart and transform you into a metal leader. Wouldn't you find a comfortable position and take a good listen? Yeah, hello, and thank you for joining me once again. Today on our Practical Wisdom Series 7 now. Wow, what a journey. We're going to be going through strategic exploit. Why your life and business should stand out and become great. I'm sure you know by now that greatness is by choice. And because it's a choice, you need to strategically manage the options that you have. So this is Dr. Kolawole Joshua. I'm a transforming mind evangelist. I would like you to know that I'll be running us through this outline. I will try and define some terms. I would also try and explore why you need to be strategic. I would also try to talk about strategic initiative for personal greatness. I will just help you list out what makes bad strategy, what makes good strategy, and then I'll throw some few thoughts about business strategy generally. But by definition, of course, strategy is an art of planning and directing overall military operations and movement in war or battle. The word is actually has its origin from the battlefield. So you can understand why that's the first definition. But basically, the one I need us to understand today, which is more relevant to our generation, is that it's a coherent mix of policy and action. Because it's a different thing to have a plan and document it into a policy, and then it's another thing to have an action that is designed always to surmount a high-stake challenge. So for a student, an examination can be an high-stake challenge. For a business person, a business choke point, maybe sourcing fund, maybe transcending, scaling your business may be an high-stake challenge. For a person and an organization, and for a nation, maybe a nation in recession currently, like some countries in Africa are now in recession. And then globally, our high-stake challenge currently is COVID-19. We need to find a vaccine so that we could be safe, we could travel easily. Strategy is a unique value proposition. You see, there's competition all around. But the most important thing is to stand out of the competition and be unique. You need to stand aside. You need to stand out. So, and if I can liken it to in aviation, I would say you need to get into the blue sky. You need to get into the sky or the blue ocean where you are all alone. And if you find any other person at that level, the person is also someone as great as you. So at that point, competition is almost zero. You're most likely going to complement effort together. But you will need planning. So strategic planning would require that you're focused towards a direction. You will align all your available but limited resources, human, material, financial, and any other resource you have, your energy, your intelligence, your natural tendencies. You align them to make sure you see the future that you hope to realize. Basically, there's the art of development of strategy, and there's also the way you deploy it. And I won't want to draw so much on this, but I mentioned this to be able to explain something called operational effectiveness or excellence. Most of us that are open to create a strategy. The truth about it is basically we've been living our life strategically. The only thing I would like us to intensify today is that I would need you to be more sequential, more orderly, have proper strategic alignment, and also execute with speed. The reason why I say this is that most of us had made decisions either to be science student. That's a strategic alignment. You could have been art or social science. While you become a scientist, some made up their mind to become an engineering student. That's another strategic choice. And so as you keep narrowing down and picking choices, you're actually strategizing. For some businesses, they decide we want to be in the plastic making business. Some says we are not going to even be in manufacturing. We want to be in wholesales. And some will say, I just want to be at the retail front. Those are strategic choices. But at this point, for wherever your strategic choices are, I would need you to be operationally effective. And what do I mean by this? You see, every business part-time has what we call the basic definition of excellence for it. It's unimaginable for a school not to be able to teach excellently well. It's basic. You would have an online environment or a real-time environment where transference of knowledge is standardized, and there is a standardized re-evaluation to ensure that students get the idea. So that's operational effectiveness. For every organization, there are some things that evolve with time that you need to get into your business basically. Your failure to achieve operational excellence would lead to poor approaches in strategy, development, and deployment. So looking into the future, sensing the direction with which things are going, aligning your resources for it, for a definite goal, either in a short, medium, or long term, is actually what strategic thinkers do. And I would like you to understand that why do you need to be strategic? Because strategic thinking is actually an intentional mental process, and it focuses on setting clear goals. You have plans, you have ideas, and I hope you could get me, because we're such in a competitive environment, but you need to find your way to stand out of the competition. And you're also in a changing environment. So be it an individual, a team, a business, or a nation, you need to stand out of the competition. It's a competitive world. You either have to evolve or die. You would have to live or die. It's a world that has a twist of good and evil. For anyone to give birth to any project, you must go through some pain. You must pay some prices. So because of this, you need to be strategic. It's also a fast-paced world. Things are changing at the speed of thought. So because of this, you need to be strategic. We also have you will always have limitation in resources. Either you're limited in knowledge, you're limited in financial resources, in human resources, you will be limited. And because you will be limited, you will need to be strategic so as to narrow down whatever you have, your resources, your time, to be able to achieve your goal. And then the future is still in this fluid state. So because of that, behold that future and give it some shape. Today is actually that future people talked about 5, 10, 15 years ago. And let me shock you a bit. You need to get it today, that it is not today that creates the future. It's actually the picture of the future in your mind that determines what you do today. So I make choices to sit down and read today because I have a future goal of being a global thought leader. I think strategically. I want to be a global leader solving human challenges at global level. So because of that, I dedicate hours of reading today. I strategically align my resources towards global trainings, global platform, and I think globally. So because of that, my future is what determines what I get to do today. You will need strategic focus for your personal greatness. You will need to increase your capacity, the amount of intelligence and influence that you can get around you. You must learn the art of keeping the high single. So whatever you're doing part-time, give it your best. If I want to liken it to aviation where you can rise with speed from the tarmac and you nose up, and then you're penetrating into the sky, into the gray sky, and then into the blue sky. Don't forget that you will need maximum energy, your maximum acceleration to be able to tunnel through the gray sky into the blue sky. So because of this, you need a lot of strategic focus. You must narrow your energy to a point focus so that you can generate maximum impact. And then you will need strategic alignment because you're limited in capacity. So you need to leverage on systems. You need to leverage on persons, mentors, coaches, academic institutions, establishments. If it's a business, you will need to get consultants. You will need to leverage on people with better knowledge. You will need to shift from part looking to a whole system analysis for your life or for your business. You would also need to understand that execution must be orderly. There is a sequence for execution. There is the art of prioritization with intelligence. You must be clear on the things you need to do part-time and the sequencing with which you need to do them, because they're actually part of what determines your greatness. And then the speed of execution. Once you discover what you're supposed to do, you have the wisdom to identify the things you're supposed to do. You have maximized your focus in that area. You've gotten the amount of intelligence and influence needed. You have aligned properly. Then there is a clear sequence on how things should be done. Then the next thing is you cannot afford to waste time again. You must execute at speed. And repeat after me, you must execute at speed. It is very, very important. My few thoughts on business strategy for productivity. When you say, I have a business, the first thing I need you to look at is, what industry are you playing in? Are you playing in transportation? Are you playing in the healthcare field? What business? Is it the ICT field? You must understand what the health of your industry is per time. And that's why you can't afford not to be scanning your environment continuously, daily. You must understand the health of your business. You must also understand your positioning in that industry. So for industry health, industry always go through embryonic growth phase, maturity phase, and then there are some industry that are currently aging off. And then for competitiveness in your industry, we want to know how strong you are in the competitive race scale of your business. Are you dominant? Are you strong? Are you favorable? Are you tenable or weak? Most likely, if you're just entering into the industry, you would most likely be in the last two, tenable or weak. If you enter with better strength, then you may be in the favorable end. But most importantly, being strong and being dominant takes a lot of time, takes a lot of experience, takes a lot of technological leveraging, takes a lot of alignment and everything. So you would have learned a whole lot and you'd have achieved results over time. So you must understand these, and these are the things that will determine what your strategy would be. And then you must also understand that there are three layers of business strategy. There is the corporate level strategy, and there's also the business front level strategy. And at the finite level, there is also the team level strategy. The corporate strategy, it's most likely has to come from the leader, because you have the global vision, the global view of the whole project or of the whole operation of the business. And of course, the corporate level strategy can be the main strategy. The business level strategy may have the tactics, and then the team level strategy will have the specific task that can accumulate together to form the tactics, and then the integration of the tactics will then become the corporate strategy. And an example for a student is that, okay, if my corporate idea of success for a program I'm enrolled in is I want to get a score of 350 out of 400. And then so my business level strategy will now be, at all the subjects or the courses integrated in that, how do I learn? And the task level strategy will now be the hours of study, how I would arrange my day, if I need to buy a calculator, if I need to dedicate 1-2 hours before I sleep. All those are finite task level strategy. And for businesses, for a business, that's the frontline worker activity. And how does it integrate to the managerial level tactical decisions, and then to the corporate level. We must get it clearly that strategic management is a continuous process. And of course, you must keep reviewing that of the processes in your businesses, and you must keep reviewing your industry. I said it that you must do environmental scanning continuously, and you must gather intelligence. And as you keep gathering information and gathering data, you must analyze the trend to become information. You must understand the pattern and everything in the information and make it up to wisdom. You must use those things. If you do not make accurate diagnosis, you are going to definitely form wrong strategy, because you will form it based on wrong assumption. And in any event where data is not available, which is an understandable thing, then that means you're also under a research. You have to posit an hypothesis based on the amount of intelligence you have gathered, even if it's not enough. You have to posit an hypothesis which you will work with, and then you will use it to design. You will use it to design the future and you will design it with the mindset of your competition and design it to find your way out of that competition. And when you have given it a design, which is good to stay well in the place of design, but you must also be agile enough to execute. Do not let design weigh you down so much that you will not be able to execute. You must execute with unique and coherent action. You must execute with strong focus. There will be distraction. You must execute with strong orderliness. There must be sequencing and prioritization on the things you will do first, what you will do next. There must be clear sequence. And you must you must implement with speed. And then finally, as you're executing, you're reassessing, you're evaluating. You must put systems and controls in place. How will you know that the improvement, the change you have initiated, the strategic focus you have arranged is actually leading to improvement? And that is why there must be short-term, long-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So this would help you to know if you're actually moving towards your long-term goal. For the leader of nations, businesses, a family, or even people who are leading themselves, you must be able to ask yourself yearly or quarterly or half yearly or over a period of time, what is my winning aspiration? What is my goal? And it must be smart. It must be specific. It must be measurable over a period of time. It must be realistic and time-bound. But it must also stretch you. It must also stretch you for what it will make of you when you go after it. You must also understand, where am I playing in the market, in life, or as a nation? Some nations play in the oil market, oil business. Some play in the ICT world. I know Taiwan became very rich from consumer goods, consumer electronic market, just like Japan became so rich both from consumer electronic market and I think automobile world, just like so many nations in Europe too. Of course, there are different levels of technological advancement there, but you will understand that you must be specific on the area of life where you want to become unique. And how are you planning to be unique? What are the differentiators? What are the key things that would separate you? Those are the things you need to isolate as a nation. You need to write them down. What are the things that would separate you? Do you want to be known for luxury? Do you want to be known for elegance or performance? Do you want to be known for strength? Do you want to be known for competence? Do you want to be known for character? Maybe you want to be known only in tourism. It doesn't mean you won't have operational effectiveness and excellence in other areas. But I want to be known for excellence in agriculture. I want to be known to be improving healthcare systems. So your maximum concentration will be on healthcare system. Your focus will be on healthcare system. That will be your differentiator. However, you must engender operational excellence in all other areas. For a school business, you could say, okay, number of students is my differentiator. I'm not particular about their results. Another school will say my goal is excellence in results. Another school might just say my goal is excellence in training the students and making them become leaders. So what are your differentiators? Then you need to know what your capabilities are. There are some naturally occurring capabilities for some people, either geographically for a region. So a country like Nigeria is endowed with oil. Texas is also a land that is rich in oil. So it's a natural capability to want to dwell on either financing from the oil or actually the oil market. And then you must know other acquired capabilities. What are the outsourcings you can easily do that you can get to strengthen whatever your differentiator will be? And then what leadership model or style is required for you to use? You must be clear. There are some systems that will require leadership by working around close monitoring. And I'm talking about a highly reliable system. You can imagine a system working on nuclear reactor. You will need close monitoring. A case like COVID-19 is also a system that needs very strict monitoring. So we in cases like that, you need different types of leadership for different strategic alignment. And you must be clear on this. What are bad strategies? At least what are the trademarks? The signs that once you see these, you will know something is missing. when the person is just talking to you about goals and motivational aims, and it's not really smart, the communication is fluffy with abstract words, and it's just like ambitions, aspirations, or yearnings, you should know that something is off. Someone that is pursuing a goal must be able to give it a timeline, must be able to align resources with it. You must see coherent action with the policy formulation. That is when you will know that that this is a clearly good strategy. So you cannot just come up and say we will pursue a world where no nation would have nuclear weapon. That's a fluffy statement. How specifically do you want to pursue a world where there won't be a nation with? That is what we need to know. Would you use a satellite to monitor the whole world per time and actions in different regions of the world? You must be able to break it down. And then when a strategy ignores the basic problem of an organization or basic problem of a person, I love to use this analysis at this point. Imagine if we're three in the jungle, and we got a tiger just showed up. And if we're three, the strategy the fastest person would need to use is that he needs to outrun the other two person just to be able to escape. So for that person to stand out unique, he needs to outrun the other two. For the other two, their strategy may have to be different. For one, maybe the second person who can also outrun the third person, he may also choose the strategy of running. But he may plan that, okay, if in any case something happens and the last person uses another strategy and I become the focus of the tiger, he must change his strategy. He has to ask himself, can I climb trees and faster than a tiger to ensure that he doesn't catch up with me? Or alternatively, if there's a river around, can I run towards the river and then swim across the river to the other side, hoping that the tiger would not be able to swim? So swimming might be the strategy of the second person. And the third person, who is the slowest, will definitely not need to use strategy of running. He has to think about another strategy if he has to survive. One of the strategies he can think about is, do I have a gun? So that I face the tiger and I decide to kill the tiger. So those are options of strategy. You need to have a clear diagnosis. So at every point in our lives, we must be clear about who we are, what our organizational capabilities are, and what it can do. When when there is no problem statement that is being addressed or about to be solved, you must know that that's a bad strategy. We must be clear on the problem to be solved. In the case of the tiger, now you know the problem to be solved is no one wants to die. And when the list is so long, you know that these people are not serious because it requires a strategic focus. What are the hallmarks of good strategy? Number one thing is that it must accurately discover, define clearly, and diagnose the organizational problem. It must define plans and develop policies with critical monitoring and evaluation. It must create coherent actions, because focus is actually the heart of strategy. So we must be able to align our plans with our actions and our resources. Strategy is done by insight. You must cultivate the heart of thinking deep, of meditation, until you get revelation. Because there are some things that will not just come at the superficial level. So you will need to think so deep. You may need some think tank. Strategy must have clear short, medium, and long-term wins. In fact, one of the professors of strategy will say within 2 years at most, you must have a short win, a short-term win. There would also be a breakdown of the medium and then long-term win. Strategy is built upon operational excellence and effectiveness. So like I said, no matter how strategic you want to be, you must always make sure you are operationally efficient and operating in excellence. And then you must plan to leverage on the world system. There are some opportunities that will come from the world system. You must be ready to launch on those opportunities to maximize your strategy. you must look out for them. They will definitely come. They are opportunities. They are most times not what you even can plan for, but they will just align with you to engender your success. But you must watch for them. If you're not expectant, you may really not see them. So that's why you must be expectant. And you must think through entropy and inertia. Remember, entropy is the degree of disorderliness in a system. Inertia is the resistance to your motion. And so you must understand that either within the organization or outside the organization, or if it's personal now, within you or outside you, your external environment, there will be things that want to slow you down. There will be things that will distract you. So you must think through all those circumstances. And as a nation too, you may have division, a lot of things that may want to slow you down. Those are the things you should consider. And for businesses, you must understand that there will be entropy, there will be national regulations, government regulation. You must always do your pest tool analysis, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and I think environmental analysis properly. So as to be sure that your business is safe before you can align a good strategy. Thank you so much for listening. These are my few references amongst many. And I also want to introduce you to Valdemar's College of Advanced and Preliminary Studies. We're a place of eternal excellence, and we are the joy of many generations. We are the industry standard for access, for quality, and for relevant education. So you can imagine we lead the way in quality in class and 100% online A-level education. Thank you so much.